Is he a superhero? Is he a wizard? Or is he a mage? Let's find out. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Graphic Content. I'm your host Ted Kendrick, and today I want to talk about Mage by Matt Wagner. This is a super cool creator-owned series from Image Comics, started in the late 1980s and actually just wrapped up about a year or two ago. So it's been a long time coming, and I was lucky enough to start reading it right as it finished. So I got to do the whole series in one fell swoop. It's got 3 volumes, right? The first one is called The Hero Discovered, which I've got right here. I actually have a copy that's been signed by Matt Wagner himself. You can see it says to Ted, so that's fun. I got to meet him at the Emerald City Comic Con last year when I went there with the Watchtower Database. So Matt Wagner was a super nice guy. He's known for doing work for Dark Horse called Grendel. That was one of his first big series. He's done some Batman work for DC, particularly Batman and the Monster Men, and then its sequel, Batman and the Mad Monk, which is one of my favorite Batman stories ever. It takes place in the very early days of his career. There's also an amazing series that he did called Trinity for DC, not to be confused with Kurt Busiek's Trinity series, but Matt Wagner's Trinity from the late 90s. It has obviously Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and they end up fighting Ra's al Ghul, Bizarro, and sort of Artemis. Definitely a villainous Amazon type. Such a good series in its own right as well. So Matt Wagner's one of my favorite comic book creators, and reading through Mage really cemented that fact for me. So it's about this guy. His name's Kevin Matchstick. He's sort of a cynical dude who's like kind of down on his luck. One day he runs to this guy named Mirth, who reveals himself to be the world mage. The mage of this series is not the main character who we see on the cover with this sort of Captain Marvel Shazam looking shirt, which he acknowledges that. He recognizes that it's sort of the Captain Marvel emblem. But the mage is this guy named Mirth, who tells Kevin that he is the reincarnated Arthur Pendragon, the legendary King Arthur of Camelot sort of tales. So Kevin doesn't believe him for a while, but as his adventure goes on, he starts to kind of learn that he has super strength, he's kind of invulnerable, and there are magical abilities that he is coming to terms with learning. Volume 1 is called The Hero Discovered, so it goes through the first couple of days and weeks of Kevin Matchstick learning how to deal with these abilities. Mirth shows him around. He ends up meeting this character named Urzel, who is this badass girl with sort of like a train conductor hat, and she's got this magic green bat. And then there's a ghost named Sean, who is working at an insurance company, and throughout these adventures he ends up dying, and then his ghost sort of follows him around. Sounds kind of weird, but it's a lot more fun and interesting than that. All the while, these characters are being pursued by these creatures called the grackle flints. They are these sort of gray looking monsters that wear these trench coats, and Mirth warns Kevin to watch out for their elbows, because on the end of their elbows they have these very sharp, protruding, poisonous dart-like things. They kind of look like Doomsday from Superman, like his bones protruding out.
My bones are my bones.
The grackle flints answer to their boss, who's known as the Umbra Sprite. They all live out of this casino called the Styx, kind of like the River Styx. So throughout this first volume, it's all about the characters sort of figuring out their powers, learning that they need to take down the Umbra Sprites. The grackle flints are after them. The grackle flints and the Umbra Sprite are after the Fisher King in particular. They know the Fisher King, who's another figure from Arthurian legends, is out there somewhere, and he's going to be personified as a crippled old man. So they're out there just looking for any crippled old man they can find in efforts to kill the Fisher King and just shut down this prophecy that the Umbra Sprite and his grackle flints are afraid of. Kevin Matchstick, on the other hand, is looking to protect the Fisher King, and they have no idea who it's going to be. And so they kind of put that in the back of their minds just in the effort of figuring out their power set. And so this first volume ultimately ends with all the heroes infiltrating the Styx casino, finding the Umbra Sprite, taking them down before they can ever identify the Fisher King. Volume 2, which is called the Hero The Hero Discovered, and then we have The Hero Denied is Volume 3, The Hero Defined is Volume 2. So in that, we get to see a couple years after the events of Volume 1, Kevin Matchstick, he's known as the Pendragon. That's sort of his superhero name. And he's going around the world with his buddy Joe Fat, who's got super speed. They are just going around the world taking down what they call nasties, which are various trolls or vampires, little creatures called redcaps, which are these little gnomes with red hats that are especially vicious. scientist, but Joe has a superpower where he can smell out these nasties. So he and Kevin are just going around road trip style, going from city to city, hunting down these nasties and taking them out before regular people, before their lives are disrupted, you know? So it's really cool to kind of see them doing that, and they end up meeting this guy named Kirby Hero. Kirby wears like all denim vest, and he claims to be the personification of Hercules, and he's out there on these 12 trials, just like the 12 trials of Hercules, and they're pretty much exactly the same ones. And so Kirby kind of weaves in and out of Joe and Kevin's journey. He's also got this sort of lion emblem on his back because Hercules, he wore a lion mane on his head back in traditional Greek mythology. Kirby's got this lion emblem that looks a lot like the Superman logo on his vest as well. Really funny character, kind of an asshole. He's like, they're all kind of assholes in their own way, which makes it for an interesting book. Like, it's a really good lesson in dialogue construction, but also story pacing and just world building in general. It's really cool to see this character of Kevin Matchstick go through different eras of his life, because that's ultimately what the series is about. After they journey through volume 2 and he's there like sort of the best days of his life, his most powerful, he's at his prime, and he learns that his power has now like been put into this baseball bat that he got from Urzel in volume 1, and this has become like Excalibur, but in this baseball bat form. Kevin's got like just a really cool vibe in general, typical t-shirt, pants, and trench coat wearing dude with a baseball bat. It's just really fun to see that sort of 90s style superhero, but also breaking the tradition of like tights and a cape, you know? The Umbra Sprite is back. He's got these new Grackle Flints. The Umbra Sprite is one of the old Grackle Flints grown up, and so these other ones are like younger and they wear skateboards and they have like this sort of dude, like hip style way of talking, which is like a weird sort of take on these characters. Every volume we kind of see the Umbra Sprite and the Grackle Flints turn into a different sort of form. In the third volume, they're called the Grackle Thorns, and the Umbra Sprite's a woman. They're all women. They're actually their most powerful forms as well. The whole journey here in Mage, we follow Kevin from first beginning to learn his powers, being at the height of his powers, and by volume 3, he's settled down. He's got a wife named Magda, who he met a sisterhood of witches. They have 2 kids together. So by the end of volume 3, Kevin is both protecting his kids from this world of magic and the nasties that they can't really escape. They're kind of forced to learn about it themselves. And we find out the kids kind of have their own powers. Kevin's kind of teaching them his ways, but also protecting them. And by the end of that series, they've identified the Fisher King, and all the sort of prophetic things that have been leading up from the first volume come to a head, and a really satisfying close. It's really cool to see Matt Wagner develop this series over the years. It's been 15 issues for each volume, and he's kind of been tackling it like once every 10 years he'll do a new volume of it. And so to go from the beginning of his career as an artist to now through the height of Matt Wagner's career, it's been a really cool parallel to see between the character of Kevin Matchstick and the artist Matt Wagner. So I definitely see a journey there between both of them, learning how to develop their powers and learning how to develop their skills as an artist. This is like basically what I would consider essential reading in terms of writing for comics and drawing for comics. Like, if you are interested at all in how to construct a story and world build, Mage is the series for you. I hope I gave you enough information to sort of dig into the gist of what the series is about, but really you just have to read it for yourself and go from there. It's just a lot of fun. So that's Mage, and I'm also gonna do sort of this flash review thing that I've been doing lately. So today I'm gonna talk about space comics that DC have been doing, particularly Green Lantern Season 2. This Green Lantern run by Grant Morrison has been a little divisive. It's definitely heady, like all of the other comics that he does. He just got done doing a 3-issue run called Green Lantern Black Stars. You can kind of think of it as like a season cap between Season 1 and Season 2. This was like a world where the Black Stars rewrote continuity, so the Green Lantern Corps never existed. So after Hal Jordan puts a stop to that and continuity is brought back to normal, this first issue sort of brings everything back to the status quo. Hal meets up with the Green Lantern Corps, he gets an award and actually a power battery upgrade in this issue. So now he's kind of able to do things that he's never really been able to do before. But in a way, it also takes the Green Lantern concept back to Hal's early days in the Silver Age. So for instance, in this issue, he just totally devolves an alien creature back from, like, if you were to do with a human, being a man to being an aquatic creature that just crawled its way out of the oceans, you know? So that's like a super powerful powerful thing that Hal Jordan can do now. And we're going to see these other sort of powers along that sort of mindset becoming more prevalent, I think, over the next couple issues. At the end of this one, Hal is sent back to Earth. And I think that's been a critique a lot of people had in season 1, was that it was too spacey, too multiversey, and it wasn't grounded enough on Earth. There's even like a cool little page or two exchange between Hal and Jon Stewart and Jessica Cruz. You can kind of tell Grant Morrison didn't really want to bring them into it, because the next page Hal says something like, well, what was the point of that? But now by the end of this issue, Hal's back on Earth, and I think we're going to see him team up with the Flash here pretty soon in a couple issues. It'll just be generally fun to see how Hal interacts with Earth again, having been gone in space for so long. He even talks about this in this issue about how he's not even interested in going to Earth anymore, because since he's been out in the universe, there's just so many more interesting things for him to spend his time doing. But now he's forced to go back to Earth. He doesn't really have a choice in the matter. The other book I wanted to talk about was Justice League Odyssey. This is issue number 18. I keep expecting it to be canceled for some reason. I don't know how long this book's gonna continue going. It started off being focused on Cyborg, Azrael, and Starfire, and Jessica Cruz, and they've just all been kind of set aside. Cyborg's now one of Darkseid's new gods, as are Azrael and Starfire, but Cyborg's been the most prevalent one. And Jessica Cruz has found herself hanging out with characters like Dexstar of the Red Lanterns, Blackfire, and Orion. And so they've kind of created like a new version of this Justice League Odyssey team. It all feels very random to me, but I do really like Darkseid as this sort of larger than the universe like villain that he always should have been. Recently, because he was turned into a baby at the end of Darkseid War, he was a baby in metal, and then like strangely aged up in the James Robinson Wonder Woman series. And so now he's like, Darkseid's firmly trying to get his place back as like a powerful being of the universe. So he's got these para-angels now instead of para-demons, and this Justice League Odyssey team is just trying to take Darkseid down before he can assume all of his power back. So there's a lot of sort of whispering in the series about Perpetua and Apex Luthor and all the stuff that's been going down in the Justice League run by Snyder. But this is a team of characters that's been operating out in the Ghost Zone, the planets that emerged out of the Source Walls break that we saw happen in the Justice League Annual by Snyder. So it is cool to see the sort of intergalactic ramifications of the stuff that's been going on in the main Justice League book, and it's great to see Darkseid back at full power, regaining that sort of role that he really never should have left in the first place. So I'm here till the end of the series. Like I said, I keep expecting it to be canceled. I'm kind of expecting that to maybe happen around issue number 24 or so, but who knows what'll happen. We'll see here pretty soon. I'm going to be reading it to the end just because I'm kind of invested now and I just want to see how it goes. As to say, I'm not like super into it, but it's interesting enough, and if you're a fan of these characters, I think you'll like it too. Yeah, that's the end of this episode, and it's actually going to be the end of this series. I've been kind of teasing this for a couple episodes now, but graphic content is coming to a close. I have really enjoyed talking to you about the sort of books that I love reading here over the past year. I've actually been doing these comic book recommendations for the Watchtower Database since its inception. Back in 2015, when we were kind of loosely doing videos, we didn't really have a rigid schedule for putting them out. I would operate the social media pages and just post like a link to the Comixology page for a book that I recommended, just kind of loosely be like, I recommend this book this week, you know? And then I sort of transitioned from just posting links to an infographic where I'd have the cover, 3 pages of the issue, and then sort of a quick like paragraph blurb, like a written review about the issue. And so I did Comixology posts for a year, I did these sort of infographic posts for about a year, and now I've done this graphic content video show for a year. It's been kind of fun to see these review format like grow and change over time, but I think in the future I'm probably gonna just stick to the 12th Level Intellects podcast for talking about what I've been reading lately and whatnot. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know. I'd definitely be down to sort of revisit this, or even revisit the show that I had run in 2018 called Trivia Tuesdays, where every Tuesday I'd bring a new fact about DC Comics or the DCAU and do like a little video about that. So I'm definitely open to returning to these concepts, but over the next couple months I'll be mainly focusing my efforts on doing more video essay writing and research and narrating for the Watchtower Database, and participating on the 12th Level Intellects podcast, which might be rebranded here pretty soon, 13th Level Intellects. But I'll be talking on that, of course, and then writing the Legacies of the DC Animated Universe webcomic. We put out issue number 9 a couple months ago, titled 2019, which focuses on the Justice League of 2019. We see Superman give a speech about the near apocalypse of '09. I've really enjoyed plotting and writing the scripts for Legacies. I'm I'm really far ahead of the art on that. So I've got some really exciting things on that I can't wait to share with you all. Yeah, lots of ways I'm gonna still be involved here in the Watchtower Database despite graphic content coming to a close. So if you wanna see some behind the scenes work and just support our channel in general, consider being a Patreon. We've got a Patreon page, patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower. You can see all the different perks there. We do live video chats once a month. There's some really cool things there. So check that out and please support us so we can do this sort of stuff full time. So definitely consider doing Patreon. If you want to support us more directly, you can go to teespring.com below and order merchandise. We've got t-shirts. You can get a pair of leggings with Maddie's face on them if that's something you're into. I'm not judging. Plenty of ways to help us out. Definitely watching the videos, giving us a like, subscribing to the channel. We are so close to getting 50,000 subscribers and our goal is to hit 100,000 by the end of 2020. I think we can do it. I really think we can do it, especially since the DCAU is not dead. We've got a lot of exciting content coming up, such as the Batman Adventures Continue series by Paul Dini and Ty Templeton. Can't wait to talk to you all about that. It's a really exciting time to be a fan of the DCAU, and the Watchtower Database is the place to be for that. Stick around. I'm not going anywhere. James and Maddie aren't going anywhere. We're just changing things up a little bit for you. So thank you again so much for supporting graphic content over the year. It's been a journey. I feel like I've grown to be more comfortable in front of the camera over here. So thanks for bearing with me as I've learned to be an on-camera personality. And yeah, I'm sure you'll be seeing a little more of me soon. I guess I haven't figured out how to end these things though. I guess just say bye. That works. So long.